but let's move to our second topic tonight, Synodality, becoming a church that listens.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, John, if you read anything about the synod that the Vatican has put out there on their website, or anything the USCCB has put out there for that matter, one of the first objectives is that we want the church to be listening to the Holy Spirit. Part of the synod and synodality practice is a practice of listening. How do you see that happening already in the process that you're coordinating in the Diocese of Des Moines? And how are you seeing that on a personal level as you try to coordinate this process? How are you listening to that Spirit?
Yeah, I think the key there is, and Deacon Matt knows me pretty well, so I'm an extrovert to the nth degree. So I'm preaching to the choir. I'm preaching to myself, preaching right here to me. I got to shut this a little bit more and open these 2, 3, 4 times as often. And so our strategic visioning consultant calls these compassionate conversations. To be able to listen without judging, to just gauge the experience rather than immediately having a response to whatever the person in front of you is sharing. And when they're done, the only response is to say thank you, and then to keep that in mind. That is the pivot that we, on all levels, as a catechetical leader with families, with that teen that's in front of you, if you're in the RCIA, whatever role you are, if you're a pastor, how do we take that precious time we have with someone and listen to their story, not judge, and say thank you?
Yeah, that idea of non-judgmentalism really got amplified during Pope Francis' papacy early on, after the world kind of infamous for some folks World Youth Day flight, where he talked about, hey, it's not his role to judge people, no matter what their orientation. And good on him for saying that. And the point that he was making is a very sound Catholic point, which is we don't judge people's hearts. That's not within our power, grasp, and God doesn't call us to do that. But because of that amplification, anytime that word non-judgmentalism gets used now, and now it's being used within the synodal process, do you think people see it as kind of I think we're sneaking a little too close to moral relativism here for now? Shouldn't we be judging at least a little bit? Is this somehow enabling people to kind of carry on as they were, and we're not really calling people to conversion? Have you had any kind of resistance to that non-judgmentalism position?
Oh, Deacon Matt, you ask such great questions. And I
scripted, by the way. This is not scripted.
And I share that because Deacon Matt was kind of a missionary of mercy when we had the Year of Mercy, and I'm sure he's been in your diocese with his wonderful book on mercy. But I think it's the same thing. You remember, Deacon Matt, when you're talking about mercy, there are so many people on the same thing that says, well, wait a minute. You're just saying that if we really think that God is so merciful, what about the 10 Commandments? What about, and I think it's that pivot from 10 Commandments to the Beatitudes. It doesn't take away from the 10 Commandments. It expands upon them in a merciful way. And one last thing that I always share with individuals, because there is resistance, is I think about, I know everyone else calls it the parable of the prodigal son, but I like to think of it as the parable of the father who goes out. We know, of course, the big one where he goes out. He's been standing on the hill waiting for his son. He's going out day and day. But a lot of times people forget about the second going out, which are those judgmental people. Here's the older brother who's resistant to mercy. And the father goes out a second time to share that you've always been with me. You have all my love. But this brother of yours was lost and now he's found. I think that's the pivot that these compassionate conversations help us move towards. It's not necessarily saying it's outside of Catholicism. What we're saying is it's what are those things that are outside the box but inside the circle? I think there's a lot of space there that's not been necessarily explored.